So I've printed my image from my computer onto a piece of watercolour card, and I've cut it down to around about 3 inches. It's actually 75mm, just slightly smaller than 3 inches. And all I'm going to do is just grab some distress inks. Now this is the peacock feathers. I've also got spice marmalade, and I've also got vintage photo. And I'm just going to apply some of the colour to the card where I've printed the image onto. And all I'm going to do is just to blend 3 of the colours together. So I'm going to blend the peacock feathers, the spice marmalade, and then I'm going to go around the outside with the vintage photo, and then add some detailing after I've done that with a stencil. So I'm just applying my final colour now. This is the vintage photo, and this just creates a kind of darkish border around the entire piece. Although this will get covered up once it's put in the frame, I did want to bring in that colour from the outside so that it wasn't just an abrupt line. So it did actually fade from the outside into the inner part of the card. So this is a very old stamp set that I've had in my stash for quite some time from an English company called Lily of the Valley. It's set 47 and they're called background bits, and this particular set is called Old Romance. It's a photopolymer stamp, as you can see, and my first thought was to stick the stamp down onto an acrylic block and then add some background detail with the stamp onto my card. Now, it wasn't until I'd actually put the ink on that I noticed that there was a black line all the way around it, and I didn't want that to appear on my finished card. So I grab a cotton bud, and you can see I just spotted the fact that there is a line all the way around, and I'm not particularly happy with that. So I grabbed a cotton bud and I just removed the ink, and it's the archival ink in watering can, so that's the grey colour. And I've just removed that ink from there, and then I suddenly realised, well, actually I'm going to take it off the block so I can get an uneven, not a perfect impression. Just by randomly stamping it around on the paper, I can get the type of effect that I want to. So actually using the acrylic block would have been probably the worst thing that I could have done. So I'm happy with the background stamping now. It's not uniform, it's not perfect, and it's all kind of sketchy, which is exactly what I wanted. So this is a Memory Box Damask stencil, and I don't use it very often because although I like the pattern, the actual stencil isn't very robust. So when you do use it, you've got to be very, very careful because you can catch some of those intricate pattern pieces and it really does end up pulling. So you've got to be really careful with it. So it's one that I don't necessarily use all the time, so only occasionally. I will be using the same stencil a bit later on again, but for the time being, I just wanted to add a little bit of that vintage photo brown on the pattern through onto the background of my card, and as you can see, it does look a lot better like that. So I'm happy with the way the main picture looks. There's one more addition to go onto it before it goes in the frame, but now we need to work on the frame itself. So this is the 3-inch Shadowbox. So this is the deep Shadowbox frame that I've purchased, and you've seen me use these before. And I've put the stencil over the top. This is the same damask stencil that I used on the inside, and I'm just putting some heavy moldable or heavy carvable modelling paste through the stencil all the way around. And I'm making sure I put plenty of the modelling paste through the stencil. In some places you can't actually see the stencil because of the thickness of the modelling paste that I've put through. But that's because I wanted the depth. I wanted the depth of that texture once I'd removed the stencil. Time to take off the stencil, and there you see a lovely pattern. Now all I have to do is just to remove all the excess modelling paste and smooth out the areas that are on the edges that I don't want sticking up, because they can get in the way. So you will see me flattening out and just dropping some of the bits down with the end of my spatula, and just to make sure that I catch everything. I will go back and do that again a bit later on. So I'm just going to grab the heat tool and give it a real good blast, because I do want to make sure that this is dry before I start painting it, which is what I'm going to do. And also the heat will also help puff up the modelling paste on the frame itself to give it that little bit of extra boost. So I'm happy with the fact that the modelling paste is all nice and dry. This is the Indigo Blue English Cottage Acrylic Artist Paint, and this is the hot chocolate, and all I'm going to do with a brush is just to apply and cover over everything. I will give it 2 coats because you never get it right the first time, and I will pay particular attention on the inside of the frame where it's touching the glass. So you'll see me go really slow, but this is sped up anyway, so you probably won't notice the fact that I have gone a little bit slower when I've got around the edges of the glass. So this is quite a laborious process, so just sitting there literally watching paint dry isn't going to be interesting for you. So what I will do is I will speed the video up even faster so that you can speed right to the end until the hot chocolate is dry on the frame. So we'll be done in a few seconds, and then I'm going to bring out my Indigo Blue Gold Metallic Paint, which is the gold finger, and a dry, small, flat brush. And we're going to begin to dry brush some of the gold over that modelling paste relief. So I'm just lightly brushing over the raised portions on the frame, so that modelling paste under the paint is just catching the edge of the brush. So as you can see, it's just picking up the detail of that modelling paste, and the gold paint is just catching it and making it pop a little bit. And you'll see me apply more and just dry brushing the edges and that kind of stuff. So as I said, this is another one of those processes that does take a time, and it is just like watching paint dry. So I have speeded the video up and we'll be over with it as soon as we can. So we're almost done. Because I'm literally only putting on a very small amount of the paint, and it is acrylic, it does dry incredibly fast. So almost as soon as I'm putting the paint on the frame, it's drying in place. So there's no real need to get the heat gun out if you don't want to on this one. You can just leave it for 5 minutes, go make a cuppa, come back and it will be ready to go. So we're ready to put the finishing touches to the picture and the frame. I've taken the word believe from my chit chat stickers from Tim Holt's Ideology, and I'm just put them on a foam pad, some little pop dots, just to give it a little bit of extra relief and texture. And I'm then going to put my little picture into my frame. And there you have it, one complete little project. Very sweet. I love the frame, and it looks like one of those old-fashioned like Rococo style frames, even though we've made it ourselves, and done in next to no time. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this little project come together. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again real soon. Bye for now.